Good evening. Once more with feeling, good evening. Thank you very much. Had a bit of a weird day today. I went to the cinema this afternoon, went to see Hugh Grant's latest film. It was called The Englishman Who Went Up a Hill but Came Down a California Hooker's Chin. It was on a double bill with Siegfried and Roy's new film, Crouching Tiger, Nervous Magician. I'm trying to break in the film business myself, actually. I've written a script. It's a remake of the original James Bond film, starring Harold Shipman in the title role. It's called Doctor No! Didn't really have the best preparation for this gig, though. I got beat up on the way. I got mugged by a bunch of Dungeons & Dragons fans. I tell they were Dungeons & Dragons fans because they were rolling a dice to see how hard they were going to punch me. I'm originally from Burnley, for which I apologise. Got the fuck out of there about 10 years ago, and I realised the only culture to be found was in a pot of yoghurt. I've got long hair, as you noticed. I read The Guardian. In Burnley, that makes me a druid god. Every time I go to visit my mum, they bring me a ginger kid to sacrifice. I'm not saying Burnley people are unused to dealing with outsiders, but a team from Burnley went on Scrap Heap Challenge and out of habit built a wicker man. I had a kind of tough childhood, actually. My mum was very strict. She named me Michael after Saint Michael, the patron saint of Marks and Spencer's. She had one rule and one rule only: never ever lie to her, which was a real bastard when you're 14 and just learned how to masturbate. Because she'd asked me what I fancy doing that night. Well, now you mention it, Mum, I fancy a wank. Michael, go to your room. Cool, thanks. Like many comedians, I'm recently single. Thanks. Doesn't work if you delay it, really. Yeah, it was a hell of a shock, actually. I was in a very long, stable relationship, and then one day, boom, my girlfriend exploded. Well, it wasn't that, actually. We had communication issues. That was our problem. She called it a court order. I call it just playing hard to get. I mean, you're supposed to learn from every relationship. I learned never let an asthmatic give you a blowjob. I lost count the number of times I was, breathe for fuck's sake, you're beginning to clamp on. We went through that stage where, like, you're splitting up, because we're living together, you know, you're splitting up all the property and all that kind of thing. And she says, I've got one over on you, Mike, because I've got the telly. I said, I've got one over on you, Kath, because I've got the remote control. But, now I live with a flatmate. Who's also actually just split up with his girlfriend. He caught her shagging someone else behind his back, and I said, well, in future, be more observant. I mean, he's a goth. Remember goths? Goths from the 80s, yeah? He's a goth and he's a fat bastard. That's why I call him Vampire, the buffet slayer. He has his goth moments. He comes up to me and says, Mike, I feel depressed and suicidal. So, well done, you're a goth. That's the fucking point! He's held to shop for, though, because I sort of say, you know, I'm going down the shop, do you want anything? And he says, yes, I want something to soothe the darkness of the heart of my very soul. And a Kit Kat. It's a bit weird, sort of like learning, you know, when you're single again, sort of shopping for yourself, you know, because I did, you know, chickens have breasts, wings, I didn't realise they had goujons. But the first time I actually went down the shop, right, I ended up with Bernard Matthews pork swords, Captain Birdseye's lamb Wellingtons, and Aunt Bessie's beef curtains. Mark was talking about Virgin Galactic earlier. That was quite, you know, interesting last week. You know, he's like, hello, I'm Richard Branson. And for £115,000, you can go into space with Virgin Galactic. Hello, I'm Stelios. And for 30 quid, you can go into space with Easy Space. Must bring on spacesuit. See in the news, Victoria Beckham's pregnant again? That's good, now she's eating for one. Girls Aloud have announced that they have contributed a new single to the, a song to the new Barbie album. That's kind of appropriate. I mean, one's a plastic manufactured lump that basically persuades young kids that being attractive and dressing like a whore is the only way to go through life. And the other's Barbie. And every time I look at Girls Aloud, the same thought goes through my head. Somewhere there's a Tesco's missing 5 shelf stackers. And on a related note, if it's never over till the fat lady sings, does that mean there's no more series of Pop Idol? Apparently if you play a Status Quo album backwards, it sounds exactly the same. So, what else would be in the news? Fox hunting. Fox hunting was in the news a couple of weeks ago. I think technology is fantastic, because apparently technology has advanced to such a degree that now they can hunt down and kill a single fox using only 22 horses, a pack of wild dogs, and an Apache attack helicopter. I mean, do you see these fuckers actually on the telly? I don't particularly like the hunt, but I do like the social occasion. That's a bit like me, sort of like joining a lynch mob, right, and saying, well, I didn't like it when we burned the paedophile out of his house, but they did serve a good gin and tonic. Very strange, but I mean, they've had the war and the war on terror and stuff like that, and you know, the weapons of mass destruction. The war on terror has actually really fucked my granddad off, it must be said, because all my life he's been going, Mike, you kids are lucky today because you don't know what it's like when there's a war on. Well, I do now. Piece of piss so far. I look forward to about 10 years from now. I got my son bouncing on my knee. He says, what did you do in the war against terror, Daddy? I did what every British citizen did in them dark days. Sat home, watched it on the telly. And I was at a Tory party conference this week. You know, Michael Howard trying to say politicians, you know, have lost touch with their people. He says, sorry seems to be the hardest word. For Michael Howard, sorry is not the hardest word. People appears to be the hardest word. Oh yeah, Wales was knocked off the map. Did you read this? Wales was knocked off the EU map. I was really upset because I actually went on a holiday in Wales over the summer, which was great. I went to a really picturesque village called Pantygirdle. It's kind of just up the road from Llan Fuck All. And the very picturesque village of... Anyone remember who Laura Sadler was? Okay, Laura Sadler was an actress. She was in Holby City, and she died about a year ago. Fell off a balcony. Now do you remember her? Yeah, okay. Right, this is completely true. Laura Sadler, right, died. Amanda Holden could not make it to her funeral, right? So she sent a wreath, and on that wreath, it said, look at the stars. Look how they shine for you. Now, anyone here, can you name where that song come from? Yellow, Coldplay, thank you. Right? Laura Sadler died falling 40 feet off a balcony. The song Yellow appears on the Coldplay album, Parachutes. It's completely true. Apparently if you play a Coldplay album backwards, you cheer up. Pint of Stella, £2.80. 2 Bacardi Breezers, £6. 4 vodka jellies, £8. Taking home the girl who's drunk all that? Priceless. My name's Mike Landers. You've been fantastic. Enjoy the show.
Mike Landers, there he goes. Mike Landers. The Kit Kat, that was a fucking great joke, I thought. I really liked that gag. So how you doing, Christine? You all right over there?